Hello, everybody. I am Miranda Mikhailis.
Me. I think the YouTubers who are considering leaving the platform need to really ask themselves if they're here because they really believe they're speaking truth to power or if they're here simply because they want to make money.
And here because I want to make the content that I want to make, regardless of whether or not I make money for it. Making money is a great perk. I mean, Lord knows that I need it, but that's not going to keep me from talking about the things I want to talk about. And what I would say to people that want to give up just because their monetization is being taken away is that you should think about this from a few different angles. Now, the first one would be if you are that worried about the money aspect, you may not be as passionate about the videos that you're making as you believe yourself to be. If money is the sole motivator, then greed probably plays more into this than, producing something that you can stand behind, be proud of, and that will make your channel really grow. Now, I'm not saying just because you want to make money, you can't be passionate, so don't freak out right away. I'm just saying that the most important thing to do is to be sure that you are making something that you truly want to make.
Now, this is a good thing. I know a lot of small creators are going to be like, I'm so pissed at this. I understand you're upset. But if you're upset by this, your priorities have been in the wrong place to begin with. Because again, you're not making a lot of money to begin with on YouTube, so why does $2.50 really matter to you? It shouldn't. And that's why your priorities are in the wrong place. YouTube is not perfect. I'm not defending YouTube.
Yes, we were making videos before YouTube was a thing, and I was monetized until 2016. Entertaining people is a hobby. That's what it should be first. Money should not be the main motivation. If it is, it will be obvious and it will be a turnoff to viewers anyway. Have fun with it and be passionate. And 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 that energy will be attracted to people and they will share your shit. So you shouldn't be compensated for your work. Yes, it's a hobby first and foremost, which is why she is asking for money for her to continue a hobby. My mother, she sings as a hobby, and my mother, she writes for Facebook as a hobby. So you should pay my mom, and I should pay my mom. Oftentimes we do pay people for, hobbies, right? In the end, the overall feeling that I got from listening to all that was
saying that I'm better than you, I guess I'm going a little further than you are. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, okay? Much better than you. You are.
and before I get accused of overreacting, this is what Andy Worski said to the incredible Osby in private, laughing my ass out. Anyways, 99% of big YouTubers have messaged me and said how much they love the show, unlike you. Have fun and please don't follow me anymore. Your channel is terrible, and I don't want to be associated with you. So before you think that, I'm overreacting, when I kind of get this feeling that the bigger YouTubers think that they are so much better than us, I mean, Andy Worski sends the incredible Oski a message saying,
saying that I'm better than you, I guess I'm going a little further than you are. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, okay? Much better than you. You are.
the only videos that I have been able to find that didn't dismiss smaller content creators as greedy or lazy have been Mundane Mats, Grim Jim, Dave Colin Computing Forever, and Charming Man in his new channel Mitch. They were the only people that didn't dismiss small content creators as greedy or absolutely lazy. And I think that, Computing Forever along with Stick Sextonhammer brought some other good points, which, later bigger content creators will be affected. According to Stick Sextonhammer, he says that AdSense is dying altogether, so everybody would eventually be affected. So I do think that the bigger content creators would be affected later, which is going to be interesting should that happen. Because personally, I feel like there are these double standards of what affects big content creators versus what happens to small content creators. It seems to me that when a big content creator is affected by something, we get these buzzwords. We need to come together as a community. We're all in this together. We are all YouTubers here. We need to look out for each other. We need to support one another. My livelihood is affected. I need to feed my kids. I quit my job and need to pay the bills. I mean, it's like it's just this one big community, and that is what community is all about, is looking out for each other. But that is when a big content creator is affected. But when a small content creator is affected, you got to work harder. It's not easy. You just want money. YouTube is not a get rich scheme, says the very people who shield for Candid and would direct you to their Patreon. I mean, projection much? Yes, let's not forget that Shoe on Head, Shield for Candid, makes money out of her hobby on Patreon, where she gets 2 grand. And this is great. In this live stream, Blair White admitted that she acts extra bitchy because that is what her subscribers wants her to do. So when she acts really mean and bitchy and catty, she said that in this live stream that she does this all because her subscribers wants her to. I'm sorry, Shu, but don't you guys basically do this for money? I mean, I remember watching a video with a live stream with Andy Worski and Hunter Avalon where they admit that they are obsessed with the like to dislike ratio, and they obsessed with what the audience do and doesn't want. I mean, even Hunter Avalon's brother did a live stream which where he said that Hunter Avalon is clinically obsessed with Social Blade, and he constantly watches Social Blade to see, what people want to see, what people don't want to see. I mean, don't you guys, spend your time heavily focused on how much money you make on YouTube? Also, have you guys noticed how earlier Mr. Repsian censored himself? You want to know why he bleeped himself out? It's because what he did is number 102. And that's what the problem really is, not that Steve asked. It's that growing on YouTube is a lot harder now. I mean, nowadays, you have to deal with your videos being demoted. 102, profanity, rough language. 104, sexually suggestive content. 109, sensational and shocking. 113, tragedy and conflict. 115, I can barely see the first word because he's wearing whites and the words are in whites. I think it's sensitive social issues. Right now, you could barely say what she wants on YouTube anymore. That's why Mr. Webster bleeped out the F word. It's because she can't. I mean, if you make political content on YouTube, you cannot actually talk about what you want to talk about. There have been people who've gotten their channels banned and outright taken down because they were talking about a certain religion. And if you criticize a certain religion, you are a phobia of that religion, and your channel must be taken down entirely. So no, YouTube is not a platform where you could say whatever you want. Why do you think that there are people who want to leave YouTube? It's because you actually can't be yourself. And the people who are like, yeah, being myself, I mean, how well can you trust those people? I mean, come on, you can't use profanity. You can't, talk about anything sensational. You can't talk about tragedy and conflict. You can't talk about social issues. I mean, there are so many things that you really can't talk about. You could actually be more of yourself on a different platform. It's hard to make a video about what you're passionate about if nearly everything is censored. And not only that, but haven't you guys ever noticed that people behave one way on YouTube, but a different way on Twitter? Like, like they swear more on Twitter. They use like more profanity. They use more sexual innuendos. I mean, people do seem to have two different personalities. There's the way that they act on YouTube, but then they act totally and completely different on Twitter. So no, it's not all, like, man, I just do YouTube as a hobby. I don't even think about the money. Like none of this affects me. Bull crap. Because if money was nothing to you, then why do people behave one way on YouTube and a different way on Twitter? The way you behave on YouTube, you should be able to behave the exact same way, on Twitter and vice versa, instead of noticing a personality change. Like, Sargon, he seems like really nice and kind and, you know, upscale or whatever on YouTube. He seems like very posh and whatnot. But like on, Twitter, he was a lot meaner. He trolled a lot more. He was a lot ruder. I mean, people do have, two personalities. The YouTube personality and the Twitter personality. And far more, and lots of people are far meaner when they are on Twitter as opposed to how they behave on YouTube, where they're like nicer and they're more concerned about other people's feelings. And, it's not just a case of follow your heart. That may have been true years ago, but you cannot speak out against certain religions anymore. Like if you talk about certain religions, your video would get placed into like limited states. There are so many things that could happen to your channel that they are ignoring. And I mean, I have a lot of tabs open, over like what could happen to your channel. Like, you could get a community guideline strike. And if you get enough community guideline strikes, your video could be taken down. YouTube unsubs people from your channel, which makes it hard to grow. It's hard to grow, like if YouTube is unsubbing people, and I've been unsubbed from Bearing. I was following Bearing, and then YouTube, unsubbed me from him. I didn't even notice until, I clicked on his video from Twitter. But if it wasn't for Twitter, I would have no idea that he posted a new video. Um, YouTube could also put your videos into restricted mode. That means that if people watch YouTube videos on their television sets, and if your videos are on restricted mode, then your videos would not be seen on television. I mean, there are just so many things YouTube could do to you. In fact, YouTube has been so terrible and so horrible to their content creators that, I mean, if you were to search, YouTube on the Daily Caller, it's just filled with page after page after page of all the people who were mistreated by YouTube. Videos that get put into limited states, YouTubers, it's just so many things that could go wrong, or Sargon had to deal with force private mode, where they actually took a video of his that was publicly available and they forced it to be private, and he couldn't unprivate the video. So here is that video I was telling you about. Forced privates mode is where his video got locked as private. YouTube is not exactly a free speech platform where you could just say whatever you want. It's like a hobby, and you just like, ooh, I'm just gonna say this and that because they have pros forced, you know, private mode where they would lock your video as private. They, they do these things. They do these things like putting your videos into limited states or putting your videos into like restricted mode or giving you a community guidelines strike or subbing people from your channel. So, yes, a lot of us small YouTubers are very much concerned because it is harder to grow your channel now more than ever. If it was strictly about, if it was strictly about money, then sure, we don't make money anyway. We do not make any money anyway, but it is an avalanche of crappy things that they do to creators. It's an avalanche. It's like if it was just money, but it wasn't so easy to get to community guideline strike, if they didn't unsub people from other people's channels, if they didn't put your videos into restricted mode, if they didn't put your videos into limited states, if they don't lock your videos as privates, then yeah, you have a really good point. Yeah, look at all of the things that they do to censor you. Like yeah, if it was strictly and only, just, you can't make money if you're small, then no small person would have a problem. No small person would have a problem. It's all the other things. It's all the other things. Like you can't use swear words. So you can't actually be your true self. And you actually can't talk about politics on YouTube because if you talk about politics on YouTube, then you basically don't have a YouTube channel. Sure, if you have a makeup channel, you'll be fine. Sure, if you have a gaming channel, you'll be fine. Sure, I mean, if you keep it if you keep it very family friendly, you should be good. This video by Andy Worski is actually really good because you cannot even say the president's name. If you say the president's name, your video could be pushed down and demoted. They do not want you to talk about politics on this platform. So you can't just it's a hobby and you just follow your hearts and talk about what you want to, and if you have a real passion for it, you'll grow. I mean, oh my goodness, what's a load of 102? Well, you can go 113 yourself. It's like if it was really just follow your passion and you can grow, then there wouldn't be all of these, rules and guidelines and all of this other crap that comes with YouTube. Because I mean, none of this would exist. None of this would exist. I mean, you know, but I mean, would you really be saying this if you were affected? Like, what if you got too many guideline strikes and nobody could be monetized anymore, like Sticks, Stacks, and Hammer said? And what if they were like, well, we have issues with Blair White's. She doesn't have the opinions that we like, so we're just gonna, take her channel down because she has the opinions that we don't like. I mean, if they just starts, flat out taking down channels that they take issue with, would your opinions still be the same? Because I mean, you know, growing a YouTube channel now is harder than ever for anybody because most people use profanity. That's how most people talk. And it's also a way of bonding with each other. If you don't use profanity, and if you used to talk about 113 but you quit, or if you used to talk about 115 but you quit, or 109, then you're fake. You're completely fake. It's just a load of 102. You just want to say, yeah, if you just work hard, you would be a success. Not with all of these restrictions in the way. The restrictions would have to be gone first. Because honestly, if you had to restart your channel right now from the ground up where nobody knows your name, like if nobody knew who you were, if nobody knows that you're Blair White, if nobody knows that you're Shionhead, if nobody knows that you're Chris Reagan, but you had to restart from the ground up, like let's just say that they put you on the Japanese server, or what if they put you in the Chinese servers? All of these rules are still there, but you had to grow, but you just had to grow on like Chinese YouTube and not American YouTube. You would probably find that it's really hard because of all of the extra restrictions that are put in place. Even if you did speak that language, you would still have all of these new restrictions. And don't forget, it's not just the ones on this list. It's the community guideline strike. It's the unscribing people from your channel. It's the restricted mode. It's putting people in limited states. It is forced privatization. It is all of those things combined together. When really it really comes across to me as entitlement issues because it's kind of like whenever a bigger YouTube is in trouble, we all need to come together as a community and put personal differences um to the side. But whenever a smaller YouTuber is offended, they don't really care. You feel massively put upon when other people ask you for small favors, but expect that when you ask people for favors, it's no big efforts. That's the way it comes across to me because, if you look back far enough, like if you look back far enough, and you can find that some of the big YouTubers were in trouble and they need the help of so many people. But it's like you just got to come together as a community and let bygones be bygones and let all of that be history. But, like when, they need help, it should be like no big deal to you. But it's kind of a lot like when smaller channels are like, hey, we don't like any of this crap. And it's like, oh, well, you're just greedy and lazy. That's all it is. It's not the community guideline strikes. It's not the forced limited states. It's not YouTube subscribing people from the channel. It's not the YouTube restricted mode. No, no, no. You're just greedy and lazy. Sorry for that rant. I just had to just rant and vent that's all out there. Anyway, this has been Ran Michaelis. But I do have to agree with one thing. Scratch Points did make an excellent point.
All these complaints about YouTube, we're all still on it. Everybody's still using it, and the only way that you're really going to initiate any change is if YouTube starts seeing a drop in those numbers, because, they're a business. They care about profit. Even if we, the people, are complaining endlessly into the ether, they're not going to care if the numbers aren't showing them that people are leaving. So I feel like unless there's an organized effort where people are leaving by the millions, it's really not going to matter what we say.
And that is a very good point. It doesn't matter how much people complain about YouTube unless people actually leave YouTube. And I'm using a microphone now. I hope it helps with the audio. I might be too loud though. But yeah. And that's what's wrong with some of these Twitter alternatives. Like it used to be like a Go Lion, but Go Lion never ever took off because people preferred Twitter to Go Lion, but which I think is canceled now. But at the exact same time, because of all the changes of Twitter, I've started using Reddit a lot more. Like I used to have a Twitter addiction. Like I used to be like very addicted to Twitter, and I would used to spend like all day long on Twitter. But now I just, I still use it, but I'm using Reddit more because Reddit, it still has a bunch of people and it's a different platform, and I've grown to like it more and more. It's because you can say more of what you want. It doesn't have a censorship problem. What I think is going to happen is that a website that people naturally gravitate towards would probably become more popular. Like I view YouTube as MySpace. There used to be a time where everybody was using MySpace. Everybody who was an anybody was using MySpace. It was the websites that all of the popular kids in school were talking about. Like, yeah, I have a MySpace account. Oh, I have all of these friends in MySpace. Yes, the popular kids would talk about MySpace nonstop at school. It was a huge success, but now it's like MySpace. Who uses that anymore? Except for, the loyalists. And it's kind of like Twitter. I'm using Reddit more. I'm using Reddit more because I can say more of what I want, but there's still a bunch of people there. Like with Gab AI, I can't say I like it too much, but with Reddit, there is still plenty of people. There's still many people to talk to interact with. What I think would happen is that other video sites that people naturally gravitate towards would probably get bigger and bigger. Like you now might get big. Jacqueline Glenn uses it. And who knows? I mean, because Jacqueline Glenn frequently uses you now, that might be the next big thing. Another site is Periscope. Because like I said, it has more to do with being placed in limited states. It's more about, your videos potentially being locked on private mode. It's much more like it has less to do with the idea that I could be like really really rich. Screw that. You know it's being censored is the problem. The problem is YouTube censorship, because let me say this. Let's just say that YouTube doesn't pay anybody. Nobody gets paid from YouTube. Let's just say that making money on YouTube is impossible, no matter how big I get. But let's just say that the censorship goes. Now, if I can never make money on YouTube, but the censorship goes completely, then like yeah, I would totally use YouTube because the censorship is gone. But it's kind of a lot like if I'm being heavily censored and if the things I want to talk about is like 109 or 113 or 115, if I talk about something and YouTube doesn't want that to spread about, and I go to you now and I use you now instead, or Parview or Periscope, and I use that instead, and I'm not being censored, I'm not being silenced, then that would be more rewarding, especially if there's plenty enough people. Like I said, Jacqueline Glenn uses you now, so by her huge presence being there, who knows? I mean, she may be able to attract a large people there, especially since she seems to genuinely love it. She's not pretending to love it. She's not trying to sell you something. She seems to genuinely like it. Like people seem to genuinely like Periscope. Now, if people, seem to genuinely flock to something, like, yeah, if I go here, I don't have to worry about censorship. I could, swear as much as I want. I could talk about, political topics. I could say more of what I want. Now, if you can say more of what you want, I doubt that you would care that you are in a smaller platform because I'm using Reddit more, and a lot of people are using Reddit. I see far more activity there. Reddit is a smaller platform with more activity. Think about that. Why is Reddit, has less people, but more activity? You got to think about that. It's because you're no longer being censored. And Gab AI, it does seem to be like a website that attracts, certain types of people. But to its credit, it's actually very active. I mean, Gab AI is like it's like really, really active. It's filled with all sorts of people. You can probably promote videos on Gab AI better than on Twitter because people are afraid of saying anything, you know. And even though I hardly say anything in Gab AI, I am growing faster. I am growing faster in Gab AI, not saying anything, than I ever have on Twitter. Growth is faster. It is going to reach a point where a website is going to be smaller than YouTube, but people are going to flock to it to get away from the censorship because it's going to be more worth your while. Because, right now I have like 485 subscribers. Thank you all. But right now, I'm getting like 110 views. Now, and I do feel like YouTube is censoring me and silencing me. Now, could you imagine? Did I go to like on you now or start using Periscope or whatnot, and they're not going to censor me? They're not going to like put me into limited states, which, to be honest, none of my videos are in limited states, but it's a possibility. Like ContraPoints. ContraPoints actually has a video in limited states. Guess which video is in limited states by ContraPoints? You could guess. It's going to be not worth people's while because if you can't talk about what you want, you know, why bother? So the whole follow your heart, that Disney saying where you sound like Disney. If you follow your heart, everything would work out well. Oh, really? Then why don't you talk about a certain religion? Why don't you talk about a certain event that happens in the past, particularly the 1930s in Germany. Why don't you talk about that? Why don't you talk about that? Why don't you talk about the more controversial things, huh? Why don't you talk about something far more controversial? They said, like, if you follow your heart, if you follow your passion, then things would turn out well. Uh-huh. Yeah, like if you follow your heart and if you follow your passion, you can be an amazing actress. You can be acting in Hollywood. If you follow your heart and if you follow your passion, you could be a professional football player. If you follow your hearts, if you follow your hopes and dreams, like even if you're fat and hideous, you can still date a guy that looks like, that still looks like, a young version of Johnny Depp. It's like if you follow your heart and if you could follow just your passion, follow what's deep inside, then you can be on TV being a professional singer. You just gotta follow your heart. Uh-huh. 109. That's all I have to say to that. That's not really how it works. I mean, for starters, Hunter Avalon talks about whatever his fans talks about. Sargon of Akkad checks Reddit to see what his fans wants him to talk about. Like if I were to give a YouTuber bigger than me requests, that YouTuber will probably talk about what I want him to talk about. It doesn't really work that way where if you just follow your hearts and follow your hopes and dreams. You guys were, your success came from before all of these restrictions, before all of these regulations. And not only that, but you guys also received shout outs. Like Blair White's got promoted by Prison Planets or like Paul Joseph Watson. InfoWars. I mean, let's see, Bearing. Bearing gave Hunter Avalon a shout outs. I mean, if you guys received zero shout outs, like zero shout outs, I mean, who knows how big you would be without that? Also, being a trans Republican is very rare, so by being a trans Republican, Blair White kind of naturally attracted a lot of attention to herself because that is um, a novelty, basically. It's just how rare Blair White is. She's probably the one and only trans Republican YouTuber out there. If somebody else beats her to the punch, then that person could be successful instead of her. But yeah, this has been Rena Michaelis, and yeah, it doesn't really come down to following your hopes and dreams. I do think people would leave YouTube, but there's just got to be a different websites that people naturally flow to instead of reminding themselves. Like if it's active enough and if there's plenty enough people, because people are attracted to other people and people want to be where they could just get the most interactions. For example, if I use you now and far more people are comfortable talking to me, then I'll probably use that instead of YouTube because it really comes down to the censorship and or BitChutes could grow and they could add this feature which it's hard to describe it, but it's a feature that YouTube originally had, where if you make a response video, your response video would have been right beneath the host video. Mr. Repsion actually spoken about it in the past, and I would show you a clip of that. Okay, here Mr. Repsian discusses no more response videos. That's because originally response videos would have been right beneath like this video. So if like somebody wanted to do a response video to him in the past, it would have been like I would say it was around here, I think. It was around here where response videos used to get placed. You know, yeah, because right here you see this comment section here. Before it would say right beneath where I am right now, beneath add a public comment, it would say or leave a video response. And if you pick click or leave a video response, it would automatically put the video response's title to your video. So it was a really cool feature. And again, the response video would actually be placed around here somewhere. It would actually be right beneath this video. And not only that, but you could actually mail response videos. Like it was like so convenient. Like you could go to like a big YouTuber and you could give them a mail, and you could go to it was like so convenient. It would actually go through your browser, your computer browser, and you could actually just send videos to bigger YouTubers that way. And so it was great. And again, shout outs were far more common back then. So in the past, in the wild, wild west days of YouTube, it was actually very easy to grow your channel than it is right now. Now there are so many restrictions. So, are small YouTubers greedy and lazy? No, I have far more YouTube videos than Blair White's. Blair White's only has 53 videos and just got multiple shout outs. Me, I have several more videos than that. I think I have like, what's it, like 400 videos? Um, I don't know how many videos I have. Wait a minute. I think, wait, 216. I have 216. My, I have far more videos than Blair White. Eh, So it's kind of like, oh, or like, there are smaller channels like, Magog, the Wizard of Magog. He has a smaller channel than Blair White's, but his channel has far hard work and efforts into it. Blair White's, she just turns the camera on. She just turns a camera on and starts talking. The Wizard of Magog, he actually puts on a costume and does a lot of Photoshop. He actually has a lot of inexpensive sets. So as far as, it's laziness. It's like, oh yeah, you just want to do like one video a month and still like get a lot of subs, and it takes hard work. There are people who work harder and have fewer subs. I have more videos than Blair White's. The Wizard of Magog, he definitely works way harder than Blair White's, and yet he is smaller than Blair White's. It really isn't just hard work. And if you just work hard, if you work really hard, you would just be successful. That's not how it really works. Who knows? I've probably been censored more than Blair White's. Who knows? Um, or yeah, it's like, is it hard work, or are you just greedy? And again, I don't mind, it's not the money that I care about. It's the censorship that I care about. It's an avalanche, basically. It's like a huge avalanche. It's just one thing after another. It's like, it becomes it's like you lose your motivation to use YouTube. It's the limited states, it's the restricted mode, it's forced privatization. It's, you could get a community guideline strike. YouTube would actually take your subs from you. People who love your channel, who are subscribed to your channel, will find themselves automatically unsubbed from you. And it's like, I didn't unsubscribe to your YouTube channel. I like your channel. Why am I unsubbed from you? You know, um, it has more to do with an avalanche of one thing out of the next, out of the next, out of the next. I mean, would you have this attitude if you were affected by some of YouTube's policies? If some of these policies apply to you, like, what if Blair White got too many community life guideline strikes? And what if, they're like, well, Blair White, you've got too many community guideline strikes. We're gonna take your channel down. It's like if you were negatively impacted by YouTube, you would be complaining. You'd be complaining if it's like one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. It does reach a point where people got to know that YouTube is screwing over its content creators. And, I just would like better treatment. If it's still zero money, if it's still zero money, but I could say more of what I want. If I could, talk about politics and, the presidency, if I could talk about this without being put in restricted mode where, my video doesn't count for whatever reason, or if I'm don't have to worry about an angry person giving me community guideline strikes, then sure, I mean, I don't have any problem, fine, then hit me with it. But it's kind of like it's an avalanche. And like Computing Forever said, what if you're next? Like, what if you're next? And there's just policies that negatively impact you. I don't want to hear the whole, as YouTubers, we just gotta come together as a community. Blair White's a YouTuber, you're a YouTuber. We got to stick together. We're like a family. Yeah, I don't really care for these lines. I don't really care about the whole family and YouTubers need to come together and yeah, we just gotta help one another. Like, no, I mean, if I could find a website that people naturally gravitate to, like if people naturally gravitate to Periscope, I'm just gonna use Periscope. If people naturally gravitate to, you now, I'm just gonna use you now. If people naturally gravitate towards Twitch, I'm just gonna use Twitch because I'm tired of the censorship. I'm tired of being mistreated as a content creator. That's my problem. Anyway, this has been Renemy Kylis. I probably angered a lot of people, but a lot these people are saying that like small content creators only care about money when really YouTube was the only platform that offered money, you know. YouTube, was the only platform that actually offered money. And I still am talking about, going to a different platform because you know why? They probably want to censor me. So if you want to go and be like, yeah, YouTube's great, why should I trust you with all of these numbers, with 109 and 115 and 113? Why should I believe anything that comes out of your mouth? I mean, aren't you a fake? Aren't you a fraud? Why should I believe you? You have all of those numbers that dictate what you can and can't say. But if I were to be in a platform, I wouldn't be a fraud like you. I would actually be able to say whatever I want. You know, I probably can't, say absolutely whatever I want if it goes against the Constitution, but I could probably say a lot more than you, and I don't have to deal with the, being forced restricted mode. I don't have to be told to take a video down. I wouldn't have to worry about community guideline strikes. I could actually say whatever I want, so people would know that they're getting 100%, the truth from me. But you, not so much. So as far as, smaller YouTubers are greedy, small YouTubers, are selfish and lazy. Yeah, go 113 yourself. Bye, y'all.